Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Poorboys. It's been a long time. I'm your host Derek. Today I'll be making some crackers. Why am I making crackers? Well, I love crackers. And it's one of those things that's so expensive. For instance, I get these Sesmark sesame thins, and they're amazingly delicious. I mean, these things are fantastic. But they are expensive. They do not come cheap. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make my own crackers, kind of very similar to that, not exactly as glamorous, as nice as those, but they're going to taste great, and I hope you'll love them too. So why don't we just get started here? We'll start off with our ingredients. We've got 1 cup of rye flour. This kind of adds a little bit of a different kind of complexity to the cracker, and it really tastes good. So 1 cup of rye flour, 1 cup of whole wheat flour, no white flour guys, sorry. And we've got a cup or a half cup of sesame seeds here, and these are just white sesame seeds. You could also use black sesame seeds. You could even toast these earlier if you wanted to. These are untoasted, and these are going to get toasty in the oven anyway, so that's why I don't toast them. So these go in as well. Alright, so additionally, we got some more nuttiness to this. So we've got a half cup of sunflower seeds here, and you can see those right there. They're going to go into this blender cup with a 1/4 cup of flax seeds. Now, the flax is going to add some other good flavors to it as well, some different complexity, make it all nice and grainy and nutty. Now my flax seeds are already ground. You can buy it whole, as well as your sunflower seeds. Now these are raw sunflower seeds, and this is just ground flaxseed. You can get whole flaxseed, whole sunflower seeds, and these are both going to be ground up together in our little coffee grinder, that kind of thing here. So I'm going to grind these up. When I get back, we're going to mix it all together. Alright, so I've got all of our dry ingredients, as you can see here. And here you can take a look at the lovely ground up sunflower seed and flax mixture. Make sure not to grind it too long, otherwise it can become sunflower butter, and we don't want that. So we're going to pour these in to our dry, and to our dry we're going to add 2.5 tablespoons of canola oil, or really any vegetable oil will do. We're going to add that, and we're going to add about a half a cup of water. I've got 3/4 cup in here, but we don't want to add the whole thing because I want to mix it up and kind of feel where it's at in terms of if I need any more water or flour, and that all depends on humidity and the flours you've got. So just only add about 2 or a half cup of water, mix that up, or I'm going to get in with a spoon here. We're going to mix that up, and we're going to give this a shot here. Once we get it to the right consistency, we'll roll it out and we'll start baking it. Alright, so before I mix this, you might want to get your oven ready. So preheat the oven to a low 300 degrees. We don't want to bake these real quick. We just want to get them nice and dried out and a little bit brown. So I'm mixing up our mixture here. And now remember, as I mentioned earlier, we can add more water if it's a little dry. And I'm just doing this with a wooden spoon. You can do it if you've got a nice mixer. You could do it with a mixer. But with this amount, wooden spoon's just as good. So we're mixing it up here, and I see that it's a little dry, so I'm going to add a splash more water. Not the whole thing. I just want to make sure to get this the right consistency, and I'm going to keep mixing until I get it the right consistency, and then I'll show you in just a second. Alright, and the wooden spoon's not working so great, so what I'm doing now is I'm actually just going to work it with my hands a little bit and try and get everything integrated. And once you're done, it shouldn't be too sticky. It shouldn't be sticky at all. It should be moist but dry on the outside, and really, if it gets too sticky, just add a little bit more wheat flour to your mix. So I think I've got it in the right consistency now. And voila, as you can see, here's our lovely ball. So what I'm going to do, luckily I've got some granite countertops here, so I'm just going to roll this out on the countertop here with just a little bit of flour. So I'm going to get the flour out, flour it, get my rolling pin. All right, so I've got my nicely floured surface here, and what I've done is I've separated it out into two balls, and we're going to just roll this out into a nice flat cracker-like shape. And you'll notice that it may crack a little bit on the outsides because it's, as we mentioned, it's kind of dry. But that'll be okay. We'll work with that. One thing you need to do is make sure your surface has enough flour. If this doesn't move, if this thing's not moving, then it's likely going to stick. And we don't want that because we want to transfer it to our pan. So make sure it's not sticking. So use enough flour to where it's not sticking, but not too much to where it's discolored. Alright, so we're just going to roll this out, and we're going to get it so it's about 1/8 of an inch thick, or about 2 to 3 millimeters, something of that. And then we're going to transfer it to a tray. So you see here it's kind of sticking. I'm going to shift it, put a little more flour down, and then roll it out some more. So that's the key. Make sure it doesn't stick. Alright, and when I'm done rolling this out, I'll show you how I'm going to cut it, and we're also going to do a nice egg wash. Alright, so as you can see, I've got my dough rolled out, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut it so it fits on my pan. So I've got a nice little just pizza cutter here, and I'm just going to roll off and cut off the edges. And you see I've got these kind of oblong edges, and these will be fine for crackers, but we'll just do them in a separate batch. So I'm just going to cut these off, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You can leave those edges on if you like, as long as it fits on the pan. Alright, so I've got my nice square, and I just transfer that to the pan. So I've got a nice square onto the pan here. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to do a quick egg wash, and then we're going to cut them while they're on the pan after they're egg washed. If you cut them before they're egg washed, the egg wash can go through the dough and get to the pan, and it'll make the crackers stick. So we want to egg wash it as a whole, then cut it, then put it in the oven. So I'm going to do another batch. I'm going to get my egg wash ready, and then we're going to put them in the oven. Alright, now for my egg wash, I just cracked an egg in here, in this little dish. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Add a half cup of water or so. We're just going to take a fork, and we're going to whisk it up here. I'm going to do this over the sink so I don't spill everything everywhere. Alright, egg wash is ready. So, now, take a brush, and we're just going to brush this egg wash on. And now the egg wash is going to do two things. It's going to make our crackers look nice and shiny, and secondly, it's going to allow salt to stick to our crackers. Because you'll note we didn't add any salt directly to the mixture of our crackers. We're going to use it to top the cracker. So lightly brush these with your egg wash. Try not to get too much on the sides and in the cracks. You don't want it to stick to the pan. And I've got my second batch of crackers here. You can see these are the rejects, so to speak. Not really rejects, but just ones that cracked off the edges. So I'm going to lightly brush these with a little bit of egg wash, and then I'm going to salt them up, and we'll put them in the oven. Alright, so I've egg washed these. I'm just going to add a little bit of fresh, or just some salt here. And then these ones, since I'm not going to cut these, I'll just break these apart if they're too big. I'm just going to put these in the oven right now. Top rack, we'll switch them later. And I've got my trusty pizza cutter here, and I'm just going to cut some crackers into the dough here. I'm a square guy, but you can make them whatever shape you want, really. And don't worry about not getting to the edge. So you'll see here my pizza cutter doesn't get all the way to the edge, but these will break off just fine. So these are cut, now they're ready for the oven. These will take about a half hour in the oven. Once they're done, they'll be a little bit browner. They'll be fairly brown, and they will be ready to cool and then eat with your favorite cheese or your favorite hummus. That's what I like. So stick around. We can finish it up in just a second here. All right, we're about 10 minutes through the 15-minute time period. I said earlier roughly 30 minutes. I think it's a little less than that. It really varies, depends on the thickness of your cracker and also obviously the altitude, temperature of your oven, things like that. But I'm about 10 minutes in, so I'm going to swap my crackers on the racks, and then we're going to let them go for another 10-15 minutes and then see how they are. Okay, so about 25 minutes have passed. What we're going to do is we're going to pull these out. And I'll show you these in just a moment here. So they've broken up a little bit, as you can see here, and I don't want to tilt them too much because they'll slide. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flex the pan a little bit to kind of break them up, and then I'm going to put them in a bowl, and I'll show you the finished product. All right, so there you have it. Crackers on a budget. Now, you know, these lovely oblong-shaped crackers here, I'll give you a close-up. You know, these are artisanal crackers, ladies and gentlemen, artisanal. So friends and family ask why they're not perfectly shaped and artisanal crackers. They are. So these can even run, I've seen ridiculous prices for crackers like this. I mean, upwards of $5, and I've only got half the batch in here, and it halfway fills this bowl here. So, you know, for under $1, visit the bulk food section, get all the bulk ingredients. For under $1, you can have these awesome crackers. So, amazing stuff. I like to dip them in hummus here. So, next time when you see crackers in the cracker aisle, think about making them yourself. Thanks for watching this episode of Poorboys. Hopefully, I will not wait as long for the next episode, but hey, thanks for holding out and sticking with us. I'll see you next time.